Today we are going to talk about the difference between sadness, depression, tiredness, and nihilism. If you think you suffer from depression, or you know you suffer from depression, or you have been sad for a long time, and you wonder if that is depression, this episode is for you. Let's start. Welcome back to this podcast, Emotions in Harmony. Thank you for being here with us. Today is a beautiful day in San Jose, California. So it's a beautiful day to talk about sadness. Sorry about that. Sadness and depression. But it's an extremely important topic. Actually, it may be a little dense of information, so I am going to divide it into parts. So this will be part 1 and probably will be 2 and 3 or only 2. So stay tuned because let's see how this topic evolves. These reflections are coming from my practice as a clinical psychologist, but also are coming from reading, from gathering, from everything. And it's not that often that we talk about the difference of sadness and depression. So I am going to dedicate this first part to sadness. And please understand that an episode, a podcast episode or a YouTube video or any media that is not directly a professional talking to you doesn't mean a diagnosis. So please don't self-diagnose yourself, because you may be missing some important information that a professional with experience will be nothing. Yeah. Sadness is a normal and very human emotion. Sadness that is not expressed in our body, either by crying or whatever your body prefers of expression, it tends to stay and accumulates, and it's not good for the body. Children are really good about letting it go. And the secret for children is that they still don't have these social cues where they should be crying here or not. They can cry in the middle of a wedding party, loud. They can cry in the kindergarten, or they can cry when your boss is visiting you for dinner. Yeah. So that's the beauty of being a child. And as we grow up and we follow social cues, we tend to learn that we don't cry here and we don't cry there. And our body needs to wait, to cry in the proper time. And then when we are alone, we say it's not the proper time because this is going to be so sad and I'm scared about it. So we tend not to express our sadness. So it accumulates. Sad events. Everybody has sad events, even the most happy person that you see in the social media. Remember, social media is the worst for you to rely in comparisons. Social media is something that is edited. We edit what we want to post there, as much as some people say they don't, or some people don't filter stuff, but most likely we edit what we have there. So you will see, if you compare yourself with your friends in social media, you will lose. Yeah, because you will compare yourself with real life. So everybody has sad events, everybody had experienced difficult situations, or the loss of a loved one, or the loss of something important, like a job, a house, even a car, something that is dear and important to you. Challenges. Everybody has challenges, and everybody passed through intense stages of transformation. Everybody has had expectations that have been broken. And the problem is not what we experience in life. The problem is how we are experiencing, and whether or not we have the resilience to overcome that and to understand that this should pass too. like the Buddhist tradition say. These two should pass. But sometimes we forget that life is like undulated, yeah, it comes and goes. So we tend to hold on to the sad moments. If we lost a family member that we really care about, of course, we are going to be sad for a long time, of course. But one thing is to be missing that person, one thing is to be honoring that person's memory, and another thing is to stop living because that person lived from our lives. That's the difference. Or going and what I call the phenomena, or going and laying down in their tomb, yeah, because they are already dead, but you behave in your life that you are not alive either. So that kind of holding on to, that kind of anger, if you will, or anxiety, or agony, or nerves, can be a disguise for sadness. If you feel like you go through life like being very angry, very sad, very a lot of anxiety, nervousness, etc., it can be just this sadness sitting there, and that needed to be expressed. Yeah. What are the normal reactions of symptoms of sadness? Crying. Of course, we were talking about it. Crying. Being agitated, like moving constantly, or having low energy. That could be sadness too. Sleeping patterns can change. You may be sleeping less, much less, or much more. Both could be expression of sadness. Concentration difficulties, for example, lack of sexual interest, and this lack of zest for life. That you wake up in the morning and it's heavy. Yeah, you feel heavy and you feel like you are dragging yourself to move. And remember, the sadness can also be similar to trauma, for example, or sadness can be part of trauma, sadness can be part of depression, sadness can be part of anxiety. What is the difference here? Well, as we were talking, there are some moments of grief where, okay, you are going to grieve and you are going to be sad for 6 months, for a year. Yeah. No wonder why cultures just tend to have this dressing in black for a year or something like that, or listen to less music or something, because it's kind of honoring that feeling. When you have a situation that is less complicated than that, like, okay, you move from one home to another, you lose your car, you lose your job, or something, we expect a very intense sadness for 2 weeks. Yeah, you know, in the movies sometimes they disappear and then they lie and say they were overseas and they are actually in their apartment crying and eating any kind of food. Yeah. Well, 2 weeks is a good time for you to give yourself all the intensity of sadness and cry and cry. And we are, I don't like this part of American society that we need to measure everything. Every individual is unique. Every individual it has its own journey. So no, not at day 16 we are going to change. Yeah, no, but more or less around 2 weeks, I will say, around even 3 weeks. I will not be concerned if you are in your apartment hiding, eating whatever food. Unless, that's the only concern, unless you have suicidal ideation with intent. Yeah, if you think that you have suicidal ideation and you may act on it even by distraction, even if you don't want to, then it's not normal. You need to seek help immediately. That will allow you to, or allow other people to help you on time. So how we know when we are making progress? We say, I already have 2 weeks crying. Carmen, I already spent all the Kleenex in my home. What I expect? How is going to look for me when I am going better? you have the tendency to see the situation in a different perspective. That will be a good sign. Yeah, I lose my job, but actually I have these skills or those skills. I lose my job before and I was able to find another one. Or I was sad about my son getting married to this woman and I didn't like it. But oh well, it's my son. Now I can see the situation on different light. Or yeah, my daughter passed away, because that could be a very intense crying. Yeah, and I don't want to wake up, but I'm finding a new meaning. I can now advocate for whatever cause that will prevent other girls from dying or something like that. So slowly start this little more different perspective, positive perspective, if you will. And then we accept disappointment. Yes, we want it that way and it happened this way. So we start making peace with that different. We start making peace with not having the control of that. We start accepting the loss of something. Yeah, whatever it is, we accept the loss, or start accepting, and you don't need to accept in 2 weeks, but start accepting. And our body start returning to have a little more energy, a little more appetite, or a little more sleep, or, you start feeling like you can be in your feet, even though it's still painfully difficult to go for a walk, to go for a swim, or be social or whatever, but you can feel. Yeah. So now, when is really now that we need to worry? What are the symptoms that we need to worry about if 2-3 weeks pass by? That is for part 2 of this topic on depression. So join me in the episode of part 2 and see you there if you are in YouTube, or we will hear there if you are in podcast.